It is very uncommon for a beloved naval lore-tied block game to receive updates on short periods. But in the past 2 months, a lot of content has been added to the game. A total of 6 updates as of making this video. Some brought gimmicks, small changes, and even satisfying features. But these other updates, oh boy, they changed core mechanics to the game so drastically different, it defines the new meta and how we play this game. I know I am late to the party, but I feel it was a good move to wait for all these updates to come in and settle down, since it will be such an unorganized mess trying to be the first on reporting what's coming to the game while trying to keep the quality of my content. We have a lot to discuss, and to the people that somehow don't even know what happened, you are in for a treat. Welcome to the new era of Tradelands. But before we get into the main topic, I want to mention a few things. According to YouTube's analytics, only a small piece of my viewers subscribe to me. So if you do end up enjoying the video and want to see more, consider subscribing to the channel. It's free, it only takes 3 clicks, and you can always unsubscribe. I also wanted to give a shout out to the Central Owls Weekly. It is an inspired unofficial newspaper station that reports what happens in the Tradelands community in and outside of lore that is overseen by many people. This small community works hard in bringing everything out in a neat little article you can read. They even go in way more detail than I ever can, due to the simplicity of just searching for information and writing it down instead of making an entire video on it. I highly recommend checking them out and join their Discord server where they archive all of their posts. I'll be linking them in the description below. Now onward with the video. How am I going to explain a sequence of events that happened so fast I couldn't keep up with them? I'll be talking about the updates one by one from the earliest one back in late April to the present day in late May. Keep in mind that all of this happened in less than 2 months, which is very uncommon to see in Tradelands. Now, without further ado, let's begin. It all started on April 27. We weren't expecting anything to come out. Just another casual day in the Grand Isles looking at the slightly nice PNG of clouds in the sky. This would be the last time we would see that cloud skybox, however. Not long after, a sudden update came out, shutting down all servers to be reset and synchronized with the update. When players waited for the servers to be back up and join in, they were greeted with something new. The day and night cycle, as well as the complete lighting, was revamped. We now have a new smooth day and night cycle, which synchronizes in all servers in real time, as well as a clean style to the fog at far distances. This changes a few things. We no longer have to worry when it will be day or night, since it will be shown in real time just by seeing where the sun and moon are placed in the sky, which does move every few seconds or so. Weather also synchronizes with all servers, so if it rains in one server, it will rain in all other servers. And because of that, electrostorms got heavily affected. It used to only rain in one server from all the others at night. But due to this impacting update with the night and weather synchronized, it is possible to have electrostorms in every single public server. That is huge. We are talking about huge changes to the weather. Electrostorms are going to last much longer now. In the past, it used to be 15 minutes of electrosteel mining. Now it can be over 30 minutes depending on when does the rain start and how close nighttime is ending. Sometimes it can be a few seconds of an e-storm, or it can be the entire night. However, due to longer day and night cycles, e-storms might be harder to come across, but in my opinion, it has a way higher reward due to longer night times and electrostorms happening in all servers. VRP servers, however, are not synchronized with all public servers. They have their own weather times. The only thing that's synchronized in VIP servers and public servers are the day-night cycle. Weather is not synchronized. And unfortunately, that also comes to the conclusion that my electrosteel mining tutorial is outdated. So I probably have to get around making that. Yeah. After that though, we had a decent sized bug fix, which was fixing the speed of several ships, including the Retaliator, Beaver, Phoenix, and much more, which moves slower than their listed speeds. What's funny is that a lot of people were complaining that the Phoenix was an overpowered ship and needed to be nerfed, but it got the exact opposite. It is now a more viable ship and a great choice for combat. I guess the salt is added to their wounds now. We also got improved sailing mechanics. Sail types now behave more similar to their real-life counterparts. This heavily impacted some ships and their uses, such as the Marauder. It used to be amazing at crosswind, but due to this change, it got nerfed, making it much slower to what it was. And other ships got improved. And besides a few bug fixes that we couldn't bother listing, that will conclude the April 27 update. It wouldn't be the last update we will see though. It was only the beginning. Three days later, we got two separate updates, but I'll put them together for the sake of simplicity, since it did happen on the same day. The developers made some back-end changes so it is much easier for them to add events in the game, added some pirate crew flags for officialized crew, and sadly no mystery crates yet. This update did bring some changes to some ships however. The Hook got a slight nerf, reducing its ship health down to 10,000 points, and surprisingly the Taipan was caught going over its speed limit than it was listed, so that got a patch also. I know it's short, but that concludes this update log, and it wouldn't be the final update for the rest of April. It wouldn't take too long for other patch notes to strike, and this next one will have the most impact. We are now stepping into one of the most impacting updates from these past 2 months. This update defines how we play the game now, specifically the combat. Welcome to the ship combat update. This will be a big play to swallow, so let's start small and go from there. The Alliance first off got a new buff increasing its health points to 23,000 health. The entire Atlas family, which included the Atlas itself, the Alliance, and the Astrus also got another health buff by 2,000 points, and now having swivel guns on their ship. The Orca was also buffed, now having 9,200 health points, and the Tyrant cells were supposedly adjusted, which, in honest terms, don't have any big effect as I tested it myself. But I digress. We also got brand new models, health, speed, and cannon revamps for the Dart, Arrow, and the Bullet. It's a lot to say in one sentence, but if you want to know its new info, check it out here on the screen. Pretty cool, huh? And if you were smart, you will be surprised about the new dart change. It holds 4 size 6 cannons now. It has a speed of 9, amazing crosswind speed, and its amazing wind tilt compared to the Shark. This isn't some random change. This made the darts a viable ship for combat now. The meta is changing, and we have to adapt. I even used the dart multiple times in my Whitecrest Navy patrols, and I will say right now, it is an amazing ship choice for quick sinks, tilt abusing, and crosswind traveling. We additionally got a huge new system for ship crews. We're talking about a more balanced ship combat system. Having a damage reduction by 3.5% for each crewman, the damage dealt by the cannons will be significantly less, giving an improvement to max crews using up an entire broadside and penalizing those who don't, such as undermanning a ship. What's even more broken is that in theory, if you were to fully man an Alliance, which is 1 Helmer and 8 crewmen, you would be held with a whopping 36,000 health points compared to the Bingo Hopper for example, which has a mere 27,500 health points and being close together. Now I am not saying that the Alliance is the most powerful ship. You can still easily sink it, but when putting with rough calculations, it can seem very powerful on paper, but it all depends on the situation. The damage reduction also doesn't stack infinitely. Each ship has a different layer of a cap. The Tyrant, for example, gets a 14% damage reduction for 4 side guns, even with more than 4 crew members. And now, the moment you all been waiting for, the single feature that drastically impacted the way we combat other ships in the ground owls. Cannons first off no longer do random damage calculations. They now always do near their lower end of the old damage range. And get ready for this. Brace yourselves. Cannons will now do less damage if they hit above the waterline. That single sentence changed one of the biggest features in Tradelands history. What this means is that if your cannonball impacts the ship above the water, it will do little to no damage, and hitting near or below the water will do the most. In reality, this damage makes sense, but when it comes to Tradelands, this makes a huge difference. No more where you can just fire at any part of the ship and doing good damage. You are now forced to hit specific spots below to get most out of your ground shot, such as the black waterline on the Phoenix. Disarming enemy cannons will also be a less viable choice since it won't do any damage, and will be more punishing even if you manage to disarm a cannon. And believe me, these damage differences makes a huge difference. Mortars also got affected, no longer being used to deal with great damage, but it will now be used to disarm enemy cannons, players, and the Helmer's wheel with the mortar splash damage. Now where do we go from here? It can't be possibly crazier than this. That's where you're wrong. Swivel's got a complete revamp with this update. They now have a shotgun blast attack and will require special swivel gun ammunition, which is craftable at any basic crafting station. This also affects combat for a lot of reasons. Say you have pirates boarding your ship. You can have everyone else in your crew fighting the pirate boarders and have one guy in the swivel blasting shotgun pellets to your opponents. These things hurt too. Being very close to it will damage 3/4 of your health. And those are just regular swivels. Advanced swivels supposedly do more according to speculation. After that though, we have smaller new features that came with this update. Large cannons no longer blow off a boat's hull, which is amazing since it does glitch your ship out and remove good chunks of your ship just from a single lucky shot. The super carronade on a Neptune had its yaw range increased, meaning it has more angle. Your in-game map arrow will now point to the ship's direction. Map items are now placeable, and pieces of furniture that can be crafted and placed in your house, which looks like this if you are curious. Improvements to mobile UI scaling in the menu and /PP effects are now disabled. Whew! Boy, that was a lot to swallow, but we got through it. We do have 2 more updates to talk about, and we're all done here. Let's continue. This is the second final update to mention before we hit the present day. It isn't small by any means, but let's get through this. Nar adjusted the colors of some materials. Slightly. Yeah. He changed the materials ever so slightly, I can't tell the difference in any of them. Alright, but jokes aside, yes, some materials get their appearance changed, which in my opinion are amazing. Draconium even got reverted and it looks like the original. And transparency materials are now transparent when on cannons or a ship. This is a big change for reasons. First off, if you have a gem ship, like my Ruby Poseidon, it will appear nearly to completely clear. In fact, materials like onyx, emerald, amethyst, sapphire, ice, and even salt will have transparency when used on cladifiers, which are the Poseidon, the Neptune, and the Bingo Hopper. And if put on cannons, they will also be transparent. Nar also stated that the daytime skybox was changed to enhance reflections that look like this now. What Nar meant in the enhanced reflections, I assume that he meant the materials that got changed, such as chrome, which looked like it was taken out of the SpongeBob episode. You know. Now, remember when I mentioned that mystery crates might be released this month? You might have an idea where this is going. On May 21st, mystery crates and as well as a bunch of other premium items went on sale. Items such as the Minoclad voucher, the mystery crate which included a bunch of random stuff in it which I'll explain later, a hardwood kit which brought the cladifier and 2 Marine hardwood turrets, a single cannon crate, and a cannon crate that brings 4. The reason I bring this up and include it in the video is because a good part of the community was anxiously waiting for crates to release, myself included. I even made an entire live stream opening these crates, having fun with a bunch of other players, and even hosting a giveaway. What's also new was the new item that was added into the mystery crate, which was a brand new material named Moonstone, and the new furniture with a 2% unboxing rate, an item named quote, color changing light furniture. It was this little button looking object that changes light and it can be placed in your house just for pure decoration. A funny gimmick for such an item to be added in this game, but it doesn't honestly hurt anybody. It looks nice to have in your house, but it won't change anything nor give you an advantage. And after that, the mystery crates as well as the other premium stuff will stay on sale for a couple of days before it gets removed. And after that, we'll be moving on to the present day. Alright, I know I said this was the last update to talk about, but I was just editing the video and putting it all together, and another huge update just came out. and they will be ashamed to not include it. Get your ham sandwiches and popcorn ready, because this one is going to be big. As May came to a close and June was opening up, not a lot happened. Just some simple bug fixes throughout the days and absolutely nothing else. We all thought the update marathon was over and would cool down now. Boy, was everyone wrong.
Wrong, 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 wrong. They're all equally important, okay? No one wants to see
good gameplay with conflicting lore.
No one wants to see
lore with bad gameplay.
They're all equally important.
Out of nowhere, literally out of thin air, NAR dropped another huge update. Burkeland. The faction we all know and love, from seasonal players to people that just heard about it, finally came to the game as an unplayable faction, but as a physical island now. And this is not some small island we are talking here. We are talking about a faction so big it had to be on a different map that takes a quarter of it. The island is filled to the brim with explorable towns, shops, and structures. I highly recommend checking it out if you are an explorer and want to check out the island for yourself. And if you don't know how to get there, it's very simple. Grab the fastest boat you have that can at least be decent at crosswind speed and sail directly north. It doesn't matter if your arrow no longer appears on the map, just keep going north, and eventually an alert will appear asking if you want to teleport to the Burkeland Islands. After you click yes, then poof! You are teleported to another part of Tradelands, and now able to awe at the islands. I will be making a full video about the island, as well as get a tour around the place to check out what's on Burkeland, so stay tuned for that. Next up, we have some daytime lighting improvements, preparations for the May Games, which is now called the Burkeland Royal Games, aka the Freeport Games spin-off, and various bug fixes. And now we are all done. And here we are now, the present day. After what I showed you, it is very clear that this game went through a complete overhaul. Times are changing, and for the better. There is a pattern now. We are getting more content added day by day, and for some reason, a lot of people are still complaining about it. Look, I understand that some people, or you for example, won't like these updates. You might disagree with a few, but let us all agree that Tradelands is getting attention. It is getting something from the developers, and it shows that they still care about this game. I don't personally see NAR as a money-hungry developer, as some people like to put it. Plus, you all asked for mystery crates anyways. I can't understand the hypocrisy there. What I see is that they still care, and they want to engage with this community, and that puts a smile on my face. We don't even know NAR, or what struggles he has in the real world, so why do we assume he is money hungry? It doesn't add up to me. Maybe because of the mystery crates, but hey, it's his game, number one. And number two, what about all the other developers that have microtransactions in their game? Exactly. But that's enough of my tangent there, and that will conclude today's video. If you like what you saw, hit the like button, and consider subscribing to check out my upcoming videos. I make content like this, if that is your treat. Let me know down below what your opinion on these updates are. I am wanting to hear more comments about this. Thanks for watching, everybody.